What amazing energy, and what a privilege to be here in your space, to follow my friends and colleagues, and to share the platform with you, David. I have great respect for you, great respect for your courage in stepping boldly as a representative into the area of spiritually motivated social action, and in particular social justice. Please give your minister a round of applause. Look. So David, what you may not know is you've given me some courage to do that in a bolder way as well. So I don't know how it is for you. I think I might have an idea. But I know that these last months and last years have been particularly difficult. Difficult as a mother, difficult as a woman, difficult as a spiritual student, and difficult as a minister. What do you do in times like these? What do you say? How do you act? Orlando, St. Paul, Baton Rouge, Dallas, Nice. What do you do? The Sunday after Nice, I really struggled. I struggled as I hadn't in any other time in my ministry, in knowing how to speak to what's going on in the world, how to speak to the fact that the energy in the room that Sunday was going to be palpable, and that my community was looking to me for some sort of guidance, some sort of leadership, some sort of support. I was reminded as I thought about, well, what am I going to say? And I'm going to share with you actually what I talked about, but a briefer version of it, because I wanted to share what do we do? What do people who are committed to living their lives spiritually and to staying awake do in these times? I'm a student of many teachers, one of whom is Pema Chodron, and I love the statement that she makes frequently. Nothing ever goes away until it has taught us all we need to know. Nothing ever goes away until it has taught us all we need to know. And what is true about that statement is it's true not only of us as individuals, it's true of us as a human family. So what do? Martin Luther King Jr. got it absolutely right when he said that darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hatred cannot drive out hatred, only love can do that. And so as I was struggling after the news of Nice, saying, well, what do I have to say? I found myself reaching outward, inward, and in all directions. And I thought about the very physical act of reaching. Reach with me right now. So stretch your arm, reach. Now reach higher. Now reach even higher. You feel that in your body, don't you? You feel that in your body. We are being asked to reach in ways that we've never been asked to reach before. We are being asked to reach forward. We're being asked to reach forward beyond what currently is showing up. We are not to put our heads in the sand. We are not to slap a simple affirmation over it thinking it's going to go away. But neither are we to dwell in what is happening. We are to reach beyond what is happening, to speak truth to power, to speak truth in the midst of fact and circumstance. And you and I and every individual who is committed to awakening spiritually and practicing spiritually knows what that truth is. That there is a presence and a power for good, a presence and a power within each and every individual operative in this universe that we must give voice to, that we must speak to, that we must embrace to bring it forward. So we are being asked to reach forward and to reach towards something that does not yet manifest itself. Secondly, we're being asked to reach out and across. To reach out and across. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is to reach beyond the ordinary people in our particular lives. To make a point of reaching out to the one who seems to be different. And for some of us, that might be a person of color, that might be a Muslim, that might be a gay or lesbian or transgendered person, but to very consciously, very specifically stretch ourselves beyond our own comfort zone, to reach in understanding across our differences, to connect heart to heart. The Sunday before Nice, my ministry was gifted a beautiful basket of goodies. Where my church is located is in a somewhat commercial park, and our parking lot is shared by another building that houses 3 mosques. And the Sunday before Nice, the members of the mosque asked if they could come over after our church services were over to give us a gift, because we have been such good neighbors to them. For you see, every single time there has been an incident attributed to ISIS, I am aware of the challenge of being Muslim in the world. And so as a minister, I have built bridges to go over to that mosque, to connect with the people, and to say, is there anything you need? We know that this radicalization of your teaching is not what your teaching is all about, and we want to care for you as good neighbors. And so on that Sunday, they came over with this beautiful basket of goodies. And it was a basket of goodies from them ending their fast of Ramadan. And so we had the greatest conversation just talking about all that. And it had been my intention then, that very next day, to share all those goodies with my staff, but I forgot. But it gets better. It gets good. But I had forgotten, and then Nice happened just a few days later. I think it was on Thursday, right? Bastille Day. And it occurred to me that the way I was going to speak about what do we do, how do we reach, is I was going to have that basket of goodies on my lectern. And I was going to talk about what happened. And I was going to read the letter that they had written to us, saying what good neighbors we are, and that maybe we can do some projects together. And so I shared that. And I told the congregation, and they were ecstatic. And I said, we're going to take that basket of goodies, put it in the cafe, and I'd like you to go inside the cafe and ceremoniously and consciously eat those goodies and know that we are one. We need to reach, and in our case, not very far at all, just across the parking lot. We put snippets of that story on our social media sites. And 2 days later, we got a call from somebody who said they attend our ministry, asking if we were going to start hiring armed security guards to protect us from our neighbor. What do you think my answer was? Hell no. That's because of this man. A little bit of chutzpah. So we reach out across. I also spoke that Sunday about the importance of reaching in and examining ourselves. Being willing to do that deep work and to look and ask ourselves, well, how was I raised? Are there remnants of racism in the way that I was raised? Prejudice, intolerance. I remember my first experience, and I love my parents dearly, but I remember my first experience of what I would call racism. And it was when I had a boyfriend I think it was my first year of high school. And he came to the house. His name, I still remember it to this day, Russell Yip. And when he left, my mother closed the door. She looked at me and she said, "Well, you know, he's Japanese, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, but I think he's nice. I like him." After all these years, I still remember that. And I don't fault her because I know that what she came out of was far more extreme than that. But I thought how important that we be willing, that I be willing, to look deeply inside myself and ask, where might there be remnants of some of that? And maybe it is not in anything that is overt. Maybe it is in what we are blind to and omit. And what I mean by that is I will never forget when one of my favorite soloists in our church, who's become a good friend, his name is Jimmer Bolden. He's a beautiful, powerful African-American man. And he shared with me and my husband and children over dinner what it is like to be a black man in this country. And I said, "I don't understand what you mean, Jimmer." And he said to me, "Well, just a few months ago, I was on business in the South, and I was leaving my hotel to drive somewhere for something. And I remembered that I had left my driver's license back in the hotel. And I was very worried and knew that I had better go back to my hotel room and get that license, because should I be stopped, especially in the South, without my license, I might really find myself in a very difficult situation." And he said, I was speechless for a moment, because I had no idea that he lived in such a different world than I do. And then he started to tell me about the conversations that every African-American family has with their children, especially their boys. And it broke my heart. I do not want to live in that world, do you? No. And I want to do everything I can to help to stop perpetuating that. And as a white woman, I think it means that I must get comfortable and not afraid, and as a minister, to speak of the reality of things such as white privilege. I want to know where you got your simple sign, Black Lives Matter, because I want one. I want to put them all over my church, because it is the white congregation that needs that sign. And so as I begin to wrap up my piece, I am so impressed by the clarity and the boldness of this insert. What can I do to help? I am inspired by this because the very fact that we in New Thought, as ministers and leaders, are starting to have these conversations among ourselves, how do we deal with this in our communities, is proof of the evolution and the maturation of our teaching, which has not happened up until this point in time. What can I do to help? Educate yourself about the history of racism and white privilege. There's a lot of good information out there that we can pass along on our Facebook pages and social media. Be an informed ally. Talk to other white people about white privilege, race, and racism. Our teaching in metaphysics allows us to develop more character, more strength, and more courage to find our voices. And your voice is needed as much as anybody else's voice is needed. God bless. Namaste. And thank you.